What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily, and in this video, we are checking out the brand new iPhone 17. So this is the regular iPhone, if you want to call it that. It's not the Pro, not the Air. I've actually already unboxed both of those if you're interested. And while those fancier iPhones are definitely cool, I think this is the iPhone to get. In fact, this is far and away the best regular iPhone Apple has ever made. And I don't just say that because it's new, but because they finally brought all the things we've been asking for years, amongst some other nice upgrades and changes. I'll fill you in on everything you need to know, of course, but first things first, let's just quickly unbox it. I'll show you the couple of things that are included, and then we'll get into everything that's new. Sliding off the lid here, you're immediately greeted by the iPhone 17 of your color choice. I obviously went with sage green, which is sort of new and definitely the best shade. Underneath the phone, there's just two more things. A little stack of paperwork that's just an eSIM reminder and some legal info, and then the still very nice USB-C cable for charging. So let's get all that stuff out of the way now and talk all things iPhone 17. As far as the price this year, the phone still starts at $799, but you do get double the storage, 256 gigabytes, which is awesome. You can double that again to 512 for a couple $100 more, and the colors, well, there's black, white, mist blue, lavender, and this sage green. Like I said, certainly the best color in the bunch. Now, at a glance, this year's new iPhone 17 sort of looks exactly like last year's old iPhone 16, but there's actually one big difference right away. This new iPhone is bigger. It's 6.3 inches corner to corner now, a 0.2 of an inch increase in screen size. And aside from not being able to use your old phone case for this new phone, that size difference is a factor in a few other ways. This regular iPhone is now the exact same size as the iPhone 17 Pro. I feel like that's a plus, but speaking of plus, there's actually no plus-size iPhone this year. Apple dropped that option, just like how they ditched the Mini a few years ago. So if you for some reason still want an even bigger screen than this, well, the next step up is actually the new iPhone Air now, which in my opinion is a totally different device anyway. I personally think this minor bump up in size is a nice middle ground. It's not totally gargantuan, but it's certainly not a small phone. You can still easily use it one-handed, and the difference over last year maybe isn't even as noticeable as you might think. Obviously, from the front, everything else looks very familiar, and around back, probably to the relief of many, this regular iPhone still looks like a regular iPhone. It's essentially the exact same design as last year, frosted matte glass paired to a color-matched all-aluminum frame. The front glass is that new, tougher ceramic shield too, by the way. Hopefully less scratch prone and more sturdy if you drop this thing. And just quickly taking a look around at everything else, the action button and volume buttons are in their same spots on the left. The power button and camera controls are there too on the right. All around the frame, this regular iPhone 17 does still have the older designed antenna bands. The Pros have this new antenna cutout at the top, just thought I'd point that out. Down at the bottom, the USB-C port is there alongside the main loudspeaker and mic cutouts. The dynamic island remains just below the secondary speaker, and around back, a kind of new camera setup that I'll touch on in a bit. So the biggest upgrade, by far, to this new iPhone 17, and something so many of us were waiting for, is the addition of 120Hz Pro Motion. This regular iPhone now has the super responsive and silky smooth screen that the Pro iPhones have had for a few years. And what's also interesting is that all the other screen specs are the same as the Pros now too. The larger 6.3-inch screen is the LTPO Super Retina XDR OLED. It has that better than 1080 1206 by 2622 resolution, non-traditional, but it's definitely a lot of pixels per inch. And like I said, that high refresh rate is finally here. Now, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I actually don't think this is as big of a deal as us tech-focused folks make it out to be. Regular iPhone owners, non-Pro buyers, either didn't know about or maybe didn't care about a high refresh rate screen. If they did, they'd have had the Pro iPhone anytime over the last 4 years. If you show a lot of people a high refresh rate screen to this day, they maybe see that something is different, but it's still not a deciding factor in their purchase. And if you're the average Android user clamoring about how 120 Hz has been on this cheap phone and that old phone, I'm guilty of it too. The regular iPhone was never for you either. While I think this is a great screen upgrade through and through, and I truly hope people recognize it and appreciate it. I think it's more for the tech community and less for the everyday consumer. But either way, it's great to see that nothing on this screen has been left out or dumbed down compared to the Pro iPhones this year. Also, for your out loud listening pleasure, the dual speaker setup is still here and still sounds fine. I don't think it's changed this year or any other year, but here's a quick sound sample so you can hear it too. Now, one of the biggest things that still separates this regular iPhone from the Pros is performance. Inside, this iPhone 17 is powered by the regular A19 processor, new for this year, but a few steps below the Pro processors in both the Air and the 17 Pro. Additionally, this phone still has just 8GB of RAM, while both the Air and the Pros got bumped up to 12GB. If you want to compare last year's regular iPhone to this year's, we're only going from the A18 to the A19. A one-generation upgrade, which I mention only because a few years ago, Apple didn't upgrade the processor at all and then made a bigger leap the following year. But things are back to being even now. I want to just stress that day-to-day performance on this phone probably isn't going to be noticeably worse than a Pro. The only exception is if you're a 24/7 gamer who's taking advantage of the additional RAM, the vapor chamber cooling system, and all the additional cores within the Pro chip. If you're playing Block Blast and Wordle, you're not going to need any of those Pro internals. Of course, the new iPhones also have all the new iOS 26 software features, but your old phone probably got that update too. And I don't mean to minimize the potential power increases here with this new regular iPhone 17. I'm sure it's better than last year, but year over year, it's becoming harder and harder to be wowed by a speed increase. And the most noticeable difference will be if you have an iPhone from, say, 3 or 4 years ago that you've been waiting to finally upgrade. What I think is more important is battery life. Now, this new iPhone not only gets a slightly larger battery, 3,692 milliamp hours, but it also gets slightly faster charging speeds. Power delivery 3.2 support, which can get you from 0 to 50% in about 20 minutes now. There's 25-watt Qi 2 supported wireless charging as well, but I'm hoping to stay off the charger a little longer each day. The initial battery tests are showing this phone lasting at least an extra hour or two under normal and more strenuous battery test conditions, and I think that's something people will appreciate more than a processor boost. Last but not least, it wouldn't be a new iPhone without Apple talking a lot about the cameras. And this year, there's just as much focus on the selfie camera as the rear camera setup. Around back, Apple has dubbed this their new 48 megapixel fusion camera now. There's a 48 megapixel main shooter and an all-new 48 megapixel ultra-wide. Still no telephoto, still only 10 times digital zoom, but your regular pics and wide-angle shots will likely look better, and your selfies will look a lot better. Up front, Apple has created their new 18 megapixel center stage selfie camera with a square camera sensor. This unlocks the ability to snap a selfie picture in portrait or in landscape while still holding your phone upright. You actually have that mid-range wide shot as an option too, but getting a full-on landscape selfie with all your friends while holding your phone normally and not looking awkwardly off to the side at the rotated camera, that's all a win-win for sure. I think a lot of people will appreciate this camera feature more than anything else. Apple also brought dual capture video to these iPhone 17s for the first time, so you can record with the new selfie camera and the rear camera simultaneously. There's further improvements to image stabilization and action mode. I actually think that these handful of camera upgrades are the most obvious, user-friendly, easily accessible sort of changes compared to a lot of what we've seen in previous years. And while the regular iPhone cameras still fall quite a bit short from the Pros, this is a really nice setup with great changes. It's been probably 2 or 3 years since I would have recommended the regular iPhone to anyone who was wanting something new. But this year, the iPhone 17, in my opinion, has enough new stuff to really make it worth it. It's bigger, the screen is better, there's new camera features and faster charging, and some potential performance upgrades too. It's still not a Pro, but this is a way better regular iPhone than what we've been given from Apple the last few years, and I think it's finally a definitive upgrade. especially if you've been waiting. But what do you guys think about this new iPhone 17? Is it enticing enough? Is it finally worth it? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video though. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.